Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to basically our review of Age of Ultron.
Yeah, which we just seen at cinema. So,
What do we think about it?
I think it was very good. I think it was. It made use of the fact that they could do more of the story that they wanted to do, whereas the first film was a lot of setting up of the Avengers as a team.
Yeah. One thing.
So it was
Oh no, go on. You
different
go
for
first.
So it was different for that reason alone, because it had quite a different style to it. But
Yeah.
the first one was essentially, here we are setting up the world
Yeah.
to a certain extent. I mean, I know they've had Iron Man,
Oh.
Man 2, all that, and they'd had that stuff,
Yeah.
and Captain America, but how they combine
Yeah.
was the Avengers. So it was never going to be the Avengers, because that wouldn't make any sense. It's like, yes, we do know they're a team.
Yeah. By the way, this is going to be spoiler heavy, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah, if you don't want to. The humour is definitely Joss Whedon. It really is Whedon, and it shows, and it's great. There is nothing I'd say. Humour is great.
No.
Ultron?
And it's there all the time as well.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And it's there all the time as well. Things like, how do they get around? Well, they're just casually driving a car down the street.
Yeah.
The street happens to be going up into the outer atmosphere, but they're just driving the car.
Yeah. What I do feel, the film has a different tone since the events of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which I think is good. The tone in the original Avengers was very light-hearted. Even though there was a situation where it was very deadly, it was still very light-hearted.
Yeah. And in this one, a lot of the time they were still kind of light-hearted, but it was less so. For one thing, because the stakes were higher.
Yes, the stakes were extremely high, and the way they've gotten around a problem that most people have thought was going to happen with Hank, basically introducing Hank Pym into the Avengers franchise just in one film,
was by not introducing him.
By basically not introducing him.
Well, because originally Ultron was designed by Hank Pym as a prison guard for the big house.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's one interpretation.
There were many Ultrons.
Yeah,
so this is the interpretation I know the most, and they were prison guards.
Yes.
But again, it was Stark who weaponized them.
Yes.
In that one, in that particular case, literally in the other one, because before Pym made them non-violent, and Stark said, "Okay, we've got an army. He's got an army."
What they've done,
give the violence protocols
with Ultron, is extremely clever. Basically, Loki. Well, no, let me explain. Loki's staff holds a consciousness. Unless I got that wrong.
No, actually, it is an artificial. It is an AI, to be precise.
I wouldn't say that. It's a construct.
Actually, technically it kind of is an AI.
It holds an intelligence.
Well, it's not a biological intelligence.
No.
It is effectively a computer construct of some sort.
One thing that annoyed... Well, I've got to say this. One thing that annoyed me about the trailers for Age of Ultron was it said, we're creating an artificial intelligence. Well, what the hell is Jarvis? that is something that annoyed me. It's like, hang on. They didn't really define why Jarvis isn't an AI.
Oh, Jarvis really, in a lot of ways, isn't an AI. They've always said that.
True, but he has acted like an AI.
Yes, but at no point, even if Tony Stark said, I'm going to be destroying the universe, Jarvis would probably have said, and how can I help you, sir?
True.
Whereas Ultron can turn around and say no, or anything else for that matter. So in terms of a self-sentient AI,
that is very true. Now, Ultron, I thought they were going to play him more mechanical than they actually did, which I'm proud that they didn't do that. I think that would have been.
I'm surprised he thought that, because the whole point about Ultron is his human nature.
Yeah. Ultron is a tricky one.
Well, not really in a way, because Ultron is... Well, there was a reason why they said, I have no strings to hold me down.
Yeah.
And that was one of his things he said, is because he is a Pinocchio in a lot of ways, and he's played like that in the animated one. I think he's played like that in others, and the fact that the problem is he's not just an AI, he has two human qualities, in some cases too many human qualities.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not predictable.
Yeah, that's the way I feel with... Yeah, I think you're right about that. Ultron is a very clever villain, and it surprised me that they were doing him for the second Avengers, but that isn't actually that much of a surprise, because he is a big Avengers villain in the comics, in the canon, and...
Yes, but the interesting thing was that there was one other villain who is a big Avengers villain who they've apparently just killed off. I'm not sure if that's true. Given
Baron Strucker?
Baron Strucker. Baron Strucker has a...
He's
I'm not
more
sure he's
of a
dead.
Yeah, I know he's a big Avengers villain, but I feel that he's going to be
big of...
I feel that he's more of a... he wouldn't...
No, he's an Avengers villain.
He is, yes, but he's more of a...
Oh, he's totally a Hydra. Hydra is an enemy of all the Avengers.
True.
Not just that one. But bearing in mind that we think he's dead, that's not necessarily happening anyway.
Yeah.
They've said he's dead.
Ultron
believes he's dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't count because one of Strucker's abilities is to drain life from people.
Yeah. I have to admit, he can't handle a film himself. Baron Strucker. They couldn't do a film with him.
I'm surprised that they actually got... I was a bit surprised in a way that, given the fact that it is Baron Strucker, that they killed him off quite quickly.
I don't see why they... I know what you mean, but... It's... Well, let's move on to a different subject. We're getting too head up on this, but...
Not really, no. I mean, the thing is, Baron Strucker is I see that whole Peace in Our Time thing.
Yeah.
That they had with Ultron. Is that Baron Strucker pretty much represents that. So you could have had either Baron Strucker kind of working with Ultron, which,
true,
at least briefly, or providing materials, and then Ultron just turning around and saying, "Oh, by the way, I already know you were planning on betraying me."
Yeah.
It's just or just in some way, maybe working with the Avengers, because he doesn't like Ultron any more than the Avengers.
No.
And he knows, and he has information about the people who he's fighting, about the brother and sister, because he effectively created them
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that's something they could have done.
I do feel that there is something about the film that is niggling, but I can't quite...
I can't think of anything niggling myself.
It's
But
the
in
ending.
what way is it niggling?
It's... I know what they were trying to do with the Ultron and have... basically... They were trying to redo the battle in New York. A little.
I don't think they were, in a way. I think that they were. Well, you can't. They weren't redoing it. I think the thing is, how else do you show them fighting as a team?
True.
And it wasn't exact, and it wasn't the same because they were doing other things. But I see what you mean. It was to an extent quite similar.
Yeah, it was.
Because but it's also quite. There are also quite a lot of differences. Though.
There are.
So I wouldn't hold that against them.
No, I wouldn't hold that against the film. It really is barely worth mentioning.
Not to mention the fact that in the when they're kind of fighting all around the device.
Yeah.
Around the device, that's nothing like New York because they went away and fought.
Yes.
So this was definitely a case of they needed to be more of a team, and they were, thinking about it, a lot more individual.
Yeah.
In Avengers for New York, they were actually like appearing and helping each other and stuff like that. And that one, they were, in lots of cases, because there were enough of them fighting on their own.
Now, one of the good things I think they did with the beginning of the film is not have them separated. Do you see what I mean? Have them as a team.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning of the film.
Well, which is what they generally do not do.
Well, it was
actually.
It was
the amount of times in the animated series
when it
starts out and they were
true.
a team, but there are several instances of them doing that and then getting back together as a team. But yeah, technically they did say the next thing they were going to do was hit Hydra bases.
Yes. Yeah.
So they were kind of they were going with that.
Yeah. Now, I like what they did with making Vision. A lot.
It's an interesting one with Vision.
It's an interesting one because it gets rid of Hank Pym from making Vision. I think he made Vision as well.
I'm not sure if he made Vision. The one version I've seen is Ultron made Vision because Vision
yes.
is his master's vision of the future, but his master's vision of the future is not one he agrees with.
Yeah, they got round that in an interesting way.
I think they did up to. I mean, they did. They did actually because he did partly make him.
Yeah, he did. He got so far, and then the Avengers sort of captured Vision.
And then added extra stuff. Yeah.
Added extra stuff. There's a lot about Vision that is really, really funny and really cleverly done. Unfortunately, we lose Jarvis. We've lost Jarvis. We're not getting him back. But...
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely...
But... having Vision, he is hilarious. He has got a sense of humour that is... He's not a Rocket Raccoon sense... Well, yeah, actually it is. It's a Rocket Raccoon...
No, not really.
Well,
really?
He's got confidence in himself. And so is Rocket Raccoon.
He has... But I don't see... I don't know, I think he's... No, I think it's entirely different. I more think it's a case of he is, in a way, a lot more like Banner, actually.
True.
Of all the team members, he is more like Banner than Stark.
Yeah.
Ultron is very much like Stark.
Yeah.
If Stark wanted to destroy the world, Ultron is like that.
Yeah. What I think they did with Tony was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. The manipulation was very subtle in the fact that that's what they needed to do. That's what as part of the plan. It's like, oh look, you could have done more, and then he will take a look at the stuff and realize what it is and do more.
Yes.
So it's an interesting way of manipulating Tony, because there's like, I know you're going to do it.
And I felt he was manipulated as soon as he touched the... There was a... When I saw the...
Not really,
well,
really?
no. When I saw him pick up the staff, I thought he was totally manipulated by the staff. But as you go on, it's not the staff. It's more...
It never was a staff.
It never was the staff.
No, that wasn't a power of the staff.
No, it was... Oh, the chick, the Quicksilver's brother.
Yeah, no, but unless they changed the part of the staff, which they never said they did.
No.
Bear in mind.
Yeah.
It's a fact that it was never a power of the staff. The holder.
Yeah.
It was used to channel Loki's powers.
Yes.
At one point, but that was quite specific, and if they were doing that, it should have been Strucker. True.
And
it wasn't Strucker.
I love what they did with getting to the staff. The first, when Tony just stands there and there's like a load of guys.
Yes.
And it's like, guys, we need to talk. And it's just like, and then all of the shoulder-mounted darts just fly. And then he goes, good talk. And then a guy goes, no, it wasn't.
Yes. As I said...
that is a great piece of humour, because it's kind of like, that is so funny. Because it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, and there were a couple of other things like when the guy with the super speed they say nobody shoot, and then there's like one guy shoots and the guy looks like, and then the super fast guy looks like, what? Why? And he's just like, sorry.
Yeah.
But that's an example of the subtle humour of a situation.
Yeah. I do feel that Quicksilver, the name of the brother of the...
Well,
Quicksilver...
He was older in the version I saw, but okay. And wasn't a brother, interestingly enough.
Actually, that is canon.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that the Marvel cartoon is canon, but I don't know much about Quicksilver except the fact that he's very fast.
Yeah. Quicksilver is a good character. Both the times I've seen him in the movies, he's been excellent. He's got a sense of humour. He's got... Basically, what they did with him at the end was sort of... you could have had him in a film. Could have had him in one of the team films that I think they're going to do. I think... There was... People were saying that there was going to be a... big reveal of something happening that tug on the heartstrings. For me, it was the supposed death of Jarvis. It was kind of like, oh, no, I love Jarvis, because even though he's an AI, he's a construct, but I loved him. He is brilliant. He's equal to Kit in my view. But
however, there was one particular thing, which is even at the time, I didn't think Jarvis was lost.
No,
Well, no, not because he would be scattered or anything like that.
Yeah.
But simply because they were looking at the basics of Jarvis.
Yeah.
So he wasn't. You just looked and I thought, well, Stark's going to rebuild him.
Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean. But what I
I
thought...
mean, because they said he was destroyed. They said destroying him was that thing, but looking at it, he didn't. There was enough there that I was just like, look, you got Stark and Banner here.
Well,
That's
Banner
not
couldn't really...
destroyed.
Banner couldn't really help. He's not...
I don't know.
He's not a technically minded... he's more of a biological.
Yeah.
Well, he is technically minded, but it's more biological than technological.
Well, if it's biological, then how come he helped Stark transfer?
Because it was more of a biological mind in the Ultron way.
But still, he was transferring. It was transferring an electronic biological mind.
Yes.
So it's not as if he can do something, but
True.
I see what you mean, though. Yeah,
he wouldn't be able to make He wouldn't be able to remake Jarvis. Stark would.
Not
but...
to mention the fact that not to mention the fact there's one thing I automatically thought, which is we're pretty sure they're like the suit versions of Jarvis.
I had a feeling there was something about that. That I think my theory about Iron Man 3's central core processor, basically in the Avengers Tower, I think he's got several different... He's basically like an internet program. There are a couple of versions, and they're all there, but they all talk to each other. Do you see what I mean?
Right, so you can destroy them all by... Okay.
Basically like World of Warcraft servers, if you see what I mean. They've all got the same basic program. They can all do different things. But
I don't really see what you mean by that. But
well, let me explain. Say you've got a World of Warcraft server in every single country. Well, in every single country, Blizzard can make alterations to all the World of Warcraft servers.
Right.
But if one of the World of Warcraft servers has to have something different, like a different language set, it can have a different language set, but the base program can do something different, but you can all alter the same... Do you see what I mean?
No, not at all.
All right, you're not... you are technically minded, but you're not... You don't think like I do. But I think somebody else...
I'm not that technically minded. No. I have no idea how. So from that description, how the servers actually work, but pretty much they.
Think of it.
Much there's.
Well, go on. What are you thinking?
But pretty much from what you're saying, the fact that they communicate at all meant that Ultron could destroy them all because none of them were isolated.
Quite.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's basically. That's what I was trying to say in about 1 billion words more than you.
So if he didn't have one sitting there like like a Mission Impossible in the non-networked hard drive and everything like that.
Yeah.
Then which Stark wouldn't because he networks everything.
I think he networks his fridge.
I'm pretty sure he does network everything, which is a problem when it comes to Tower.
Yeah. I like the way they portray Stark making the Avengers Tower. It's a place where they can all enjoy themselves. It's just... Yeah.
Though interestingly, I like... it's very interesting the fact that they actually destroyed that in one film.
What?
Well, effectively, because they said the new Avengers headquarters.
Oh yeah, of course.
So they
at
clearly
the end,
tried to make a clean break.
That didn't really make that much sense to me. That didn't really...
It does.
It does make sense. It does make sense,
the
but
sheer amount of damage that Ultron did to the tower, and maybe he just
not
wanted
really
to make a clean
much.
break. Really?
Yeah, it wasn't that much. The base you
Maybe
gotta
you just wanted
redo 3 floors, and that's it. The rest of the tower's all right.
I guess he wanted to make a clean break as well, but but
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of damage. Just bear in
Yeah.
mind that.
Yeah, but it was only like 3 floors.
Yeah, and
most.
all the lab complexes.
No.
Yeah, there was. Remember, all the Ultron was pretty much hijacked all of the lab complex, as far as we can tell.
Yeah, true, but I know what you're trying to say. But
he could have rebuilt it though.
They
could have rebuilt it.
Yeah, well, they made Vision in those labs. It wasn't that destroyed. Remember?
No, they didn't make Vision in those labs.
Yeah, they did. Same building.
No, they didn't. That was in Seoul. That was...
No.
Vision was made... No, seriously, Vision was not made there.
No, he was.
No.
He was made there.
As far as No, but remember, they actually had the Avengers fly over to that clinic in Seoul. That's where he was being made.
Well, no, it was not where he's being made, but it's where he woke up. He woke up in the Avengers. He woke up in the Avengers Tower.
Yeah, he wasn't being made there though.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
But clearly
I see your point.
Worked.
Yeah.
So that part still worked, but a lot of that was quite severely damaged or compromised by Ultron.
True. You have a point there.
He could have rebuilt it, but he made a clean break for one thing, because I think he actually wanted to make more of an organisation, which was more in keeping with what he said at the time, which is that was why he made Ultron.
Yeah.
So in the end, he trusted people.
Yeah. Now, what I have got to say is the end quote from Captain America is a joke and a half, isn't it?
Which is the end, the one, the team, they need to work together.
Avengers are... Yeah, and then it cuts.
Nothing,
And,
that was,
and it's like, really, you haven't said it in any of the films, and it's like, you Joss Whedon, you cock tease.
Yeah, they never say it. Yeah,
they never say it. But frankly, they don't need to.
No, that was just kind of a joke.
It's kind of a joke because they never said it in the original Avengers. Which yeah. One thing I like the backstory with Black Widow.
Black Widow was
a bit of a misnomer. It's just like, who the hell is she? We knew who she was, but we didn't really know who the film Black Widow was.
I think we know who the film Black Widow was. That she was the clearest character of them all.
We didn't know her that much. She didn't really have that much of a backstory. It was more...
actually, I think she did. No, Black Widow is the one that was absolutely closest to it.
Yeah, closest to the canon, but not... It didn't really tell you... It didn't really tell you in anything but Age of Ultron about
No. I know it didn't tell you, but the fact that she was the closest to the canon and the fact and everything else means that you know why. That means that it's when it came up.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, well, you're actually telling me what we already know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is one of those occasions where the canon source material said everything beforehand. That's why she's Black Widow. Oh,
I didn't know this was placed with here. Okay.
Because there's Red Widow, because and the other ones in the thing are Red Widow. There's Other Widow.
WTF? What are you talking about? Red Widow?
Yes, the other assassin. She's Black Widow because she's the best assassin, but there's also Red Widow and everything else.
Right.
The other people in the training school.
Right.
It's in this. Yeah. So that bit was nice to show. It was nice to show that, but it's one of the ones where knowing anything about the character would allow you to be able to say, yeah, I know Black Widow's backstory because they never changed that.
No. I have got to admit, I saw like 3 clips from the film before I actually saw the film. One clip basically gave you straight away one of the story points. Well, it wasn't a big story point, but it was sort of a we know that these two are wanting to do the vertical mambo, Banner and Black Widow, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, that actually makes a lot more sense. In the comics, it's usually Black Widow and Captain America who want to bone, but in Age of Ultron, it works. It really does work. Having those two, and it gives Banner more of a character. And I'm not sure if he's getting if Mark Ruffalo is getting his own movie for Hulk.
I don't know about it.
I haven't heard about it, but if they do it,
well,
it would work because they've set him off on an interesting course. We don't know what the hell's happened to him.
Except they have, but they have. It will be them going out on quite a limb with that because there's a lot that they haven't reintroduced.
Go on. What do you mean?
He is not being hunted by the military.
Yeah, that's a point. It didn't quite make sense why he's going off on his own.
No, that's not. Well, he was just having a break.
Yeah, a break.
At the very end.
Well, yeah, true. But
it's
why not?
No, but it's because he thought he was a threat, which is the reason. Which is one of the things. Call back to the original thing with the Hulk.
Yeah, he never stays in one place.
Stuff where because he feels he is a threat, and to an extent he is, and also he's being targeted by Hulkbusters all the time.
Yeah.
The Hulkbuster units, and General Ross and things like that.
Let's talk about the Hulkbuster armor that Iron Man used. Very good.
Yeah,
wasn't on the screen much. Well, got about a 10-minute viewing.
I mean, it was mentioned beforehand as well, but
the interesting thing, it wasn't called the Hulkbuster.
No, it wasn't. They just had it was loaded on the
Jennifer or something, which was weird. I'd prefer if.
Well, why would you call it? I'm not sure you would call it Hulkbuster.
Well, I'd rather actually have it that. I'd rather have Banner sort of say one time, "I'm glad we made that suit together," and it was just like, I know we made it together, but it was one of the worst things I've ever made. Like Tony said, I wouldn't want to end you, Banner, but I know it's there just in case something happens or something worse appears. That would be something nice that I think they should have done.
I think it was nice. I don't know, because then it spoiled the surprise. It would spoil the surprise of that happening and when it happened. So I think think it was nice the way they did it, but it's something that they could have done a callback afterwards, like, so it worked. We actually had to use the suit.
Yeah.
And that's something they could have done afterwards, which would have made sense.
Oh, sorry. Give me. Yeah.
But no, I did like the Hulkbuster armor because one thing, it combined the high tech, nature of it, and the original function of the armor.
Oh.
Because the original function of the armor was to be more powerful, to take a hit, bigger servos, and padded, and be able to deal out.
Yeah.
Pure physical damage and take pure physical damage.
Yeah.
And this one did it, but it also did it a different way.
Yes. Yeah. And I love the bit where it's like, "Go to sleep, Banner. Go to sleep. Go to sleep."
Yeah,
And it's
with the
like
hammer thing.
it's got this thing that it's sort of like a boxing glove, and it just
It's
keeps
like a jackhammer
battering
with a
really,
glove,
really,
yeah.
really fast. And it's just go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, and it's just and there's the scene where he takes the lift and just pile drives it onto the Hulk, and it's like the Hulk just looks at him and just spits out a bit of the lift and just looks at him as if to say,
Yes.
"You shouldn't have done that." And then Tony goes, "I'm sorry."
But actually, what happened was he broke a tooth.
Oh, he broke a tooth.
That was the thing that annoyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, "Uh-oh," and then
I'm
Hulk
sorry.
wasn't happy.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, because
sorry.
before he wasn't truly annoyed, and then he was actually that point he was, and then this is why was then thrown into the air.
Yeah,
Effectively.
that is really, that was a clever thing to do, and I don't think if you didn't have, I think it's the Scarlet Witch. I think that's who she is.
It is the Scarlet Witch, yeah.
Yeah, messing with the Avengers' minds, I don't think the film would have worked as well.
Oh, I think it would have. I think it would have been a different way.
It would have been a different way, but it wouldn't have worked as cohesively as I feel it did.
I don't know. I think it probably would have in a way because it would have in a way because you would be dealing with the consequences of the fact that Ultron is their creation.
True. One of the things I do like about the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver being in the film is that it's not padding out the runtime, but it's more, it gives Ultron minions before.
Well, Vision was originally going to be a minion, and who then turns against him later on.
Yeah.
But it could quite easily have been Strucker working with him.
Yeah.
Because Strucker would work with him up to a point.
I thought from the trailers that everything was gonna happen in that castle.
Really?
Ultron was going to be made in the castle, so it was sort of a surprise when it was going on so early. It was like, oh,
I never. Oh, really? I never thought Ultron was going to be made in the castle by Strucker.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you didn't see the trailer. If you saw the trailer, it would be like, okay, Vision, Ultron is going to be made in the castle.
Why would Ultron be made in the castle? Would be my question.
Here's the thing. You sort of see Tony Stark in the castle, and you sort of see a lab,
why would he be there?
I sort of thought when you saw the original Ultron's original form, basically taking over an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
I thought he would transfer his consciousness to the castle to make himself.
Okay, that's him making himself, which is wrong.
Yeah. Well, to make his next body.
Okay. Well, yeah, I see what you mean, but yeah, it's pretty much the blame has to be placed on the Avengers, one of the Avengers tech people. It cannot be Strucker doing it.
No.
It's always got to be
an Avenger screwing up.
Either Tony or Hank Pym, or in this case, it's or in both in some cases.
Or the interesting thing, they also put Banner in the ring for the blame of making Ultron, which I think is not a bad thing.
And it is true. Well, it's because those two would do that.
Yeah.
But then you'd have Captain America and everybody else sitting around saying, "Well, why?"
Yeah.
Thor because he distrusts technology.
Yeah. And
Captain America because, well, that obviously he's going to have an issue with this.
Yeah. I feel that is one of the best parts of the story. It's kind of like it gets rid of the need for Hank Pym to be in the film and give him
he would have to be shoehorned in really quickly if he was.
Hank Pym needs his own film, which is basically Ant-Man, the film that's coming out sooner or later.
Well, technically, he could have had a small role in this.
The fans would have rioted.
No, not necessarily.
They would have, Rob.
This particular... Well, yeah, the small role could literally have been... okay... could literally have been a reference. And that
True,
reference
then you
being, it's just, this programming it seems a little odd.
Yeah, for you, Stark.
And then at which point he said, for you, and then it's just like, well, actually, no, I've got a friend, Hank Pym, and he actually and this is actually part of his one. And he's just like, yeah, that makes sense. It's not really your style.
Yeah. Well, and then you could go. Banner could make a joke. The program is too neat, and it's like, well, I can be neat, and it's like, oh no, too subtle.
I'm not sure it's a subtle program. You could just have it. You could just have it's not his mindset.
Yeah. It's not using 90,000 processors to do 6 things really, really fast. It's like using all the processors equally to do everything at a reasonable speed, unlike Stark, who just use more processors to do random crap that he thinks needs to be done. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like...
Well, I would see Stark doing that, yeah.
You know what? If I could travel to any universe, I would love to see Stark make an operating system. I want to know how he'd do it. It's like, okay, I know there's Microsoft, but make your own operating system for gamers. And it's just like, well, do it.
It wouldn't necessarily be a system that they could use.
No. But it's like, wait a minute. Why are you giving me his DOS-box?
No, not necessarily that. It would be, I get the distinct impression that Stark would make something and then turn around and say, well, what, you can't operate, you're not a genius when it comes to electronic technology.
Yeah.
Well, you program this? So I get the impression that it would be something that, like you said, it's like Banner making sense in the first one.
Yeah.
First one, it would be like that.
Yeah.
So probably wouldn't be a massively usable product.
No. What I love about Tony Stark is not everyone in the event in the previous Avengers film. Everybody thought basically it was Iron Man 3 before Iron Man 3.
I don't really see. I never really agreed with that one because there was an awful lot of the other characters, and if people decide to focus on on Iron Man, then
yeah,
okay.
But, in this film, he is a lot less. He's not dumbed down, but the use of him is muted, and it works.
Well, it needs to be muted because there's 2 extra characters.
Yeah, well, 3.
That technically, there's
we're
3
forgetting Vision.
extra guys.
And
Vision comes in later on. That's the thing. Quite a bit later on.
Quite a bit later on, but Vision and
even before Vision comes in,
yeah,
you have other focuses on there.
Yes,
you have other focus. And that's deliberately done because for one thing, you don't need to focus on the character segment. There's other character segments because their backstory is already pretty much built up.
Yeah. Apart from Hawkeye, who had pretty much hardly any backstory in any of the films.
Well, Hawkeye doesn't. Well, no, Hawkeye has all the backstory that he has.
He has a backstory, but
oh no, Hawkeye's backstory is done in the first film.
It is, but it's expanded upon in this one. He gets more character.
Yeah,
Let's
his
put it that
backstory
way.
is not expanded upon. Hawkeye is the assassin. Hawkeye is a person who
Yeah,
goes, who's gone into missions with Black Widow. He's not Black Widow. It's in the fact that he is generally the guy that you send in to deal with threats to Shield.
Yeah.
That is his backstory. So no, his backstory is as well fleshed out as it needs to be.
Yeah.
In that way.
I do like how they've played Hawkeye in this one. He's more humorous.
Well, yeah, he had some kind of humor at the time with like firing the explosive arrow and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
he wasn't in a particularly humorous mood in the first one. So
Because basically 90%
one,
of the time I love the quip. It's just like, I've done mind control. I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of the mind control thing, it's an example of the fact that what they didn't have to fill in for.
Yeah.
It's the fact that with the visions they could just do them.
Yeah.
So if you don't know anything about Cap's backstory from what's in the first Avengers or
It doesn't really matter.
Captain America or anything. No, it doesn't. You have to a certain extent, you need to kind of know.
You need to kind of know, but if you know, if you've basically been told by somebody who knows the character, the basics of Captain America, he's
the
from the
basics,
past, and things like that, you will know about what the Vision is really talking about, why he's
what
having that kind of vision.
Yeah.
None of the characters needed backstory that, well, you could walk into the film completely blind, just saying, okay, I've got to watch this Avengers thing apparently it's hot shit, so you could watch.
Yeah, you could have done.
You could have done, but
up to a point.
Up to a point,
I would say,
yes.
Up to a point, things like the Chitauri. It's just like, okay,
and the Chitauri, who are they? But it's not a big problem not to know who they are.
No, it's not. So you could still watch this one, but
it doesn't really hurt not knowing who the Chitauri are.
You know they're a threat. You know they're a threat. And so, but why? But the Hydra part, you would probably want to know who Hydra is.
And also the Infinity Stones. The Infinity Stones, if you didn't...
Actually, the Infinity Stones. Infinity
that's
Stones.
The first time they've really been said out loud.
They have not been mentioned.
They have not been mentioned
before. So
no. Basically,
so we're not talking,
the Marvel fans have basically gone, yeah, the Infinity Stones are out there because they've seen them in the films, but because they had to do Vision, I think they had to do the Infinity Stones. So I have a funny feeling we were never not going to get Ultron movie as the second Avengers. Because...
there is a plan involved, so
yeah, there is a plan.
It wasn't...
Well,
yeah.
Everybody was thinking it's got to be Thanos for the second Avengers movie. And
actually, that's less likely.
Well, no, this was years ago. This was when...
Okay, I'm not really...
Yeah,
I would not say Thanos. Thanos is not one I would go for. I would say the Mandarin was more a candidate myself, but...
yeah, but since Iron Man 3 sort of made the Mandarin into a bit of a joke, but nobody...
No, it didn't. It didn't.
Why do you say that?
The Mandarin is an active force and will appear.
Again?
He never appeared the first time. Oh no, he absolutely didn't. Remember the after scene? Yeah.
Wait a minute, after scene in what?
The after scene where the actor gets killed because the Mandarin doesn't like him because he's saying about his role.
What after scene?
there's the scene where he's going in the interview with some people, and the guy's saying, "Well, I did this role," and
I
then at
never
which
saw
point they're
that.
just like, "We're not journalists."
I never saw that.
Oh yeah, well he dies because the actual Mandarin is not happy.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never seen that. I never knew about that. So, yeah, okay. But, yeah, everybody was thinking it was Thanos. And then when you think about it, it can't be anyone but Thanos because Vision has one of the Infinity
He has
Gems.
one of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, Infinity Stones.
But remember that Thanos has been building up. It's been building up to Thanos.
It has been building up since Thor, the original Thor.
Well, because Thanos is because the reason that Thanos, and the more they actually risk death, the more Thanos is interested in them.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's the thing about Thanos, is the fact that which is one of the reasons why he made alliances in Guardians of the Galaxy.
One of the things I think they should have done...
Like
well, I think they should have done with Captain America... I know this is slightly going off on a slight tangent. Captain America has had the ability now to get his shield back from the bouncing. And as in sort of magnetically return it to his hand. I would love to have had Tony go, "How do you like the magnet?" Or "How do you like the return system?" And it's like, why did you do that? Well, you had to go over and pick it up. That's too much hard work. I think they should have said that.
For one thing, I'm not even sure if it was Stark who did it.
No, true, but yeah.
Bearing in mind
true.
that could have been Shield doing it.
True, but it wasn't in the last Captain America film.
True, it wasn't, but it was in Captain America 2, and he was working for Shield.
True, no, it wasn't.
Well, no, because he used it as cylindrical.
No, he didn't magnetically pull it to him.
Oh, okay, so that's a new thing. I guess so I guess Tony did that.
Yeah, I guess Tony did that.
But
or it was. Remember the scene with the magnetic gauntlet, and he kicked the shield up in Captain America 2.
He had it on his. Well, he had it on his back, so maybe he put it on his front.
Yeah. But that was clever, and I love the watch the language line that gets ripped up throughout the movie. On, they're
just like, it's just like, I know it. It's just like, you told them about that.
you told them about that.
And then later on, it's furious. It's like language.
And it's like, oh, God damn it! I'm never going to live this down.
Yep.
And I love one of the first things, and it's just like and Captain America says a few things, and it's just like, and then Tony Stark goes, "And what's your language?"
Yes. Like,
and no. It's like, the look on Captain America's face. It's like, oh God, I've started Tony off on something. This is not good.
There was one interesting thing I actually thought was a flaw for the film. Not exactly a flaw for the film.
What do you
but
mean?
A very curious feature.
Go on.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but the rockets on the intended species-ending asteroid that Ultron was creating.
Yeah.
Yes, they fired upwards.
Yes.
You noticed that, did you?
I know where you're. Well, I think I know. I think I know where you're going with this, but keep going.
Yeah. Well, what specifically was wrong with that?
Fired.
upwards, straight upwards. They never said it went left or right or anywhere else, right?
Right. How did you flip it?
It's not even how do you flip it. It's a case of why, when it is destroyed, does it land in water?
Oh.
The
Okay.
pieces seem to land in water. And at which point I'm like,
yeah.
wait a minute, you went on a straight up trajectory.
Actually, he didn't.
No, they said it were. If you look at the engines, they go straight up.
Yes, they do, but if you look at the placement of the engines,
You mean at the bottom of it?
yeah, they're not right. If it was going to go straight up, you'd have 4 straight engines going straight down. Okay?
Yeah.
He has about 6 going in all different directions, but going down. And
Right.
I think
You mean it drifted? You mean it drifted to the side?
Yeah, no, it drifted to the side. And I have a funny feeling I know why they did that. 1, to make it not land on people. And 2, basically Ultron wanted to cause the biggest fucking nuclear problem ever. And you don't do
then in
that
that
by
case he
hitting
should
the
have done it.
land.
I don't know. It depends on what you want to. Depends on
You
what
hit-
land, for one thing.
You hit the water, and that will cause you more problems.
It does to a certain extent, but not to a certain extent as well.
I know. Yeah.
Especially considering that this is and if Ultron would be doing that, then he should have been aiming for a particular area around Mexico, actually. So
Yeah, but he wasn't anywhere near Mexico. He was more near the Strucker lab where he had all the tech he could make the stuff with.
he was near the Strucker lab, but technically, if that was it, then he could have moved it to there. Also, bear in mind, he wasn't anticipating the problems he faced.
True. True. He thought
He was very surprised by that.
Yeah.
He thought the Avengers would be there, but he was more counting on them being beaten there, and then when the world is destroyed,
Yeah.
in terms of human life, they are there at that destruction.
Yeah.
Not them actively sabotaging engines and
No.
stuff.
I love the reappearance of the original helicarrier.
Yep, that wasn't destroyed.
That was something that really sort of like, oh, that's where it went. It was in mothballs.
Yeah,
where the
whole
hell
bit
do
is
you
the way
store that kind of thing? Bruh.
And also the fact that it's they saying, well, this is how S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it is. It's clever. I really think it's clever.
But I would say, and in terms of I'm not sure of the composition of the other Avengers team, but if that's actually canon in any of the things, but it's a nice team to have.
I think it is. It's sort of an interesting way of doing it. And
Yeah.
by the way, it's not spoilers. I don't know hardly anything about the actual I don't. How much do you know about the Civil War, Marvel Civil War?
I know Registration Act has come up on several of these things.
Yeah. Basically, the next Captain America film is going to be about the Registration Act.
Well, it's a key thing, so yeah.
It's going to be Captain America versus Iron Man. They've actually said that. And
oh yeah,
that is a really interesting premise. And I feel that the people you saw at the end of the Avengers are gonna be in that film.
I think so. And where do they stand?
Yeah, where do they stand? That is something that I think is fascinating for them to do, and I never thought they'd do it in the movies, but they have set the groundwork. They have set the groundwork
kind of
for
have
it.
Already.
They've set the groundwork for it, which is interesting. It's clever.
And not only that, but if they didn't do that, then that would be something that DC had ahead of them. So that's something that. Well, oh no, absolutely, because they've already done something like that.
They have what?
Yes, it's where Lex Luthor is as president says, by the way, join me and say your secret identity, and we can deal with things together.
Yeah.
And certain heroes do, certain heroes don't. That's a big thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
in DC.
Frankly, DC, when it comes to movies, they have never really even got on Marvel's level.
Oh no, but in the animated ones,
well, in the
absolutely.
In the animated ones, Marvel has never got on DC's level. Let's face it.
Oh no, but thing is, they in the animated ones that's what DC have got.
Yeah.
And that leads to Captain Marvel versus there's other people versus somebody one of the main people, simply because Batman or something like that, simply because they're still heroes.
Yeah.
But then they're divided on this key issue.
Yeah. Apparently the Civil War in the comics for Marvel wasn't particularly well liked. And I can understand why, but
it's confusing.
It's confusing, but I can also understand. I can't really understand why it wasn't liked either. It's sort of, it's a good idea, but they sort of screwed it up in some ways.
Yeah, I think they were saying a couple of people were saying this. Who was on what side was a bit odd.
Yeah,
actually, there was one thing like Peter Parker switched sides twice.
Yeah, and thanks to the Civil War, I think one of the worst Marvel comics was ever made for Spider-Man.
Clone Saga?
No, not the Clone Saga. Clone Saga is apparently a classic. It's the Last Day.
No, it's not a classic.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Last Day.
But the Clone Saga is not a classic.
Oh, okay. But
no, the Clone Saga carries on and on with who is the real Peter Parker, who is the other one.
It's one of those, is it?
Multiple clones. It's so, and then you decide, oh, can we just get back to the normal one and just pick one.
But apparently, it makes a couple of good villains. So
it does. Yes, it does. Some of them are clones.
Yeah,
they are deformed clones of. They are various clones of Spider-Man. But yeah, it does make good villains. But in the end, it overstretched.
Yeah.
So I would say that more than the Last Day, but the Last Day as well.
Yeah, the Last Day is. When I saw a review of the Last Day, I thought, oh my god, what the hell have Marvel gone mad? Because they even insult nerds in it, and it's like, are you insane?
Yeah.
How did this get past Stan Lee? I know he's getting on in his age, but it's like
Stanley doesn't do all of that stuff.
No, he doesn't do all that stuff. But how did that get? Somebody must have written it.
Maybe he wasn't involved.
Somebody must have read it and gone, "What the fuck?"
No, they didn't. That's
But how did they get
the answer?
Yeah, they probably didn't. But it's like it should have been.
Well,
that's the kind of thing that what was it? Marvel is good at making. This is something I've got to tell you. Marvel have got in bed with Telltale. Do you know who Telltale are?
No, I don't.
You should do. People who make the Walking Dead video games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those guys. They're good at making adventure video games, and apparently there's something in the works. So that's not bad.
Nice if they...
One of the things I really think Telltale should have done, should do, they've said they want to do, and I was pleased when I heard that they want to do it. They want to crack at the Bond franchise, and it's like, oh, please, God, give it to them. Because we have only ever had 4 good Bond games. GoldenEye, Rogue Agent, Everything or Nothing.
I don't know, the shooter wasn't terrible.
What shooter?
The one with the missiles, where the guy who was supposedly decommissioning them and actually wasn't.
Yeah. It was only good on the PC version that nobody apart from us played.
Yeah, the other one was terrible. I mean, the level with the submarine was just pure torture.
Oh, tell me about it. And also, one more... if I ever see anyone put give Bond a laser sight on his Walter PPK, I will find them and I will do things to them that are not viable in the Geneva Convention. Using sporks. Because,
true, yeah.
I'm sorry, Bond does not need a laser sight on his standard issue weapon. And it was a Walter PPK. It wasn't the Walter P99. It was like...
which it was in the... actually, in the PC one, it was P99.
In the PC one, it was the P99. In the Xbox version, it was the PPK. Yeah. And it was like... the PPK is a classic gun of film because of Bond, and he has never used a laser sight on it. If you sort of had the idea of basically you could have a laser sight on it, but it turns it into a sort of a long range, not a long range, but a designated marksman rifle. You could sort of have the joke of it. You can sort of turn it into a designated marksman rifle with a couple
Except the Bond doesn't. That's something they never do.
That's something they never do. But you could have that in the game, and nobody would really bat too much of an eyelid.
Except for the fact that his gun is generally unmodified.
Yeah, basically all he's got is the suppressor.
I say generally modified because it's not. There have been a few occasions, like making it so that it can merely be used the hand.
Oh, hand recognition.
Recognition.
That was
one thing they had.
That was something they had in Skyfall. It wasn't a bad idea.
Yes, but in general, it's not. The gun is not modified.
No, in general, the gun is not modified.
Although the gun has changed on a few occasions, like they had effectively the auto version of the PPK.
I didn't know that.
Oh, they absolutely did. I mean, you know the one where you got the Fabergé eggs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ever wonder how he managed to open up on those guards?
What, you mean full automatic fire?
I think it's got a bigger clip, certainly.
Well,
and a faster firing rate.
Okay, extended clip. I can give that. It's sort of
no. It's a different gun. If you look at the things, they say he's armed with a different gun. It was a different version of the PP. It was from Walther, but it's a different gun.
Ah. Well,
which is how he managed to open up.
Right.
Open up like that. It's as opposed to the mistake one.
The mistake one?
Yes, the one. Yes, the one with Carver, where he just carries on firing. You're like, you using the gun, same gun, the Water PPK? Yeah, you are. Okay.
Oh no. It's more not the mistake one. It's the barrel extender that everybody thought was a silencer.
Oh no. No, that's not a mistake because they don't claim it's a silencer.
Yeah. Okay. Just
watch. Yeah, but just watch the one with Bond opening up in Carver's headquarters before he opens the safe.
Oh yeah, I know the one. Yes.
He just carries on firing like all day, and he's just like, and then he's looking at us like, that's still your PPK.
Yeah.
How are you managing this?
Yeah.
But essentially, one thing, another thing is that getting back to Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Again, we have an interesting thing in the fact that Ultron does not copy Stark's weaponry. And there are good reasons why he wouldn't. Because he's mass producing things.
Yes, I know where you're
They
going.
are armed with a kind of rifle, because you can see people getting hit. Hawkeye gets hit by something.
Yeah.
So they are armed with something, but it's not arc reactor technology.
No.
As far as we know.
No. He wants to distance himself from Stark as much as possible, so he wouldn't use arc reactor or repulsor technology at all. He uses...
Oh, I think he would if he wasn't mass producing.
If he wasn't mass producing, he's got a little bit of the repulsor technology in him because he floats just
Actually, he's got that. He's not only got that, he's got the robots which do have repulsor technology. So he's got that.
He nicked some of them from Stark. He nicked the first two from Stark.
But he has tons of them.
True, but...
So he's mass producing them with the same ion thrusters and presumably the same he'd have to have that power source.
True. Very.
As much as he wants to distance himself from Stark, he can't. But they do not have armed blasters or anything like that. They are armed with apparently physical projectiles.
Yeah, which is interesting.
But he is also trying to mass produce an army and not have to raid every single high-tech store in the world.
Yeah.
High-tech place in the world. So that makes sense. I do like the various minions he's got, and the fact that they are not all the same Ultrons.
Yeah, that is really clever. That is something.
They are lesser versions.
Now, in the original
Ultron.
In the original comics, it took them a couple of years to upgrade the Ultron slowly.
Yes, and in this particular case, he's mass manufactured them.
He's mass manufactured.
And also, in particular, one of the reasons why he would pick the castle, because he knew it's a very particular reason.
Mass manufacturing, and it also has the Tatari.
He's not. Yeah, it has the Tatari thing, but he's not so concerned about that. I don't think.
It has manufacturing and weapons, so.
Has manufacturing weapons, but there are other places that have manufacturing weapons.
Go on. What are you saying?
He knew Stark, and he knew the best place to hide was a place that was just raided.
Ah, yeah, true.
It's the other reason why he's there. Nobody suspects that you would go back to there. Okay.
Have we all gone through everything that you want to think of?
I don't think so. No, I can't think. I don't think so. There are other things. Yeah. There was also another reference to, and this is to a place where we haven't actually seen any characters.
Yeah.
Any characters from that, but bearing in mind that they said Cap's shield was made of vibranium, right?
Yeah.
they only had Cap Shield is unique.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes, it is.
Well, yes. Well, that means that. But they also said it talks about Wakanda, and that's interesting because it means they potentially could introduce a Black Panther.
There was word that he was supposed to be in Age of Ultron, but it didn't happen.
Well, yeah. Well, I can totally see how they could have done that. Because you're not meant to, because anyone who was marked in Wakanda for thief,
Yeah.
yeah, he managed to steal vibranium. The Wakandans take that really seriously.
Yes.
So that you could totally have added them in for that reason.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting they added Wakanda.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
That they added but it does also mean.
Yeah. Can we stop this right now? Because I want to split this into two parts. If you don't mind. Because can we do this another day? Because I've got something I want to watch.
Well, probably won't. It will probably be quite different from watching, because it probably won't remember half the stuff from.
All right, let's keep going. You can keep going, because I think I've said pretty much all I want to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but we haven't even touched on some of the stuff with Thor and things like that.
All right. Well, you go. You keep going.
Well, no, I mean it's more a case of there's for instance I don't know, it's a fair few things. I mean, one thing, it's I do like the fact that they are again touching on it's nice with Thor that they are again touching on the fact that he takes a different approach.
Yeah.
You know, like everybody else is saying, well, we've got to do this scientifically, and Thor goes to the pool of memories.
Yes.
And it's a nice thing, because it's like Thor works in a different way.
Yeah.
So he just disappears and says Professor, okay, I need your help with this.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting enough, he's also seen later on in the base.
Yeah.
Seemingly suggesting that he's kind of going to be there as their expert on things magical.
Yes.
Which actually he was originally, if you think about it.
True.
Remember, because S.H.I.E.L.D. hired him to take a look, said, we want you to do this, take a look at this staff we've got.
Yeah.
As I recall, yeah, he had the staff.
Yeah.
And he was one of the ones examining it. So that's an interesting callback in the fact that Stark's like, no, I haven't forgotten that.
Yeah.
Or maybe Thor hadn't forgotten that. I think because Stark never knew, as far as I know.
Yeah.
It's even referenced. But yeah, it's a nice thing that they actually had the helicarrier with some of the other units which we never saw it use.
Yes, yes.
It's like it's that in its rescuing capability.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I do think... no, go on.
The area, I don't know what if that's significant.
What do you mean?
You know, the area where around the castle and everything, I don't know enough about comics to know if people were going, oh, it's that place. That's really important.
I have no idea either.
Yeah, because it started there.
Yeah.
And then they said about specifically the town. They got people out the way of the town.
Yeah.
They had the statue, the inscription. Later on, they come back and they again are at that location. I'm not sure what that's about.
No, neither am I.
Though, if I had to guess, I would say, I would guess I would say I know what it might be leading up to.
Go on. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking it's going to become a base for somebody else, or it's going to be in some way important, because I know it's the fact they kept going back there was simply because Ultron was there, but there seemed to be a lot of focus for it. Like maybe it was a big Hydra location in the comics, so maybe that's it. But there was something more to that than I was getting, and other people would say, "Oh well, that's that place." So it wasn't just a random place. It was done for a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe that was Baron Strucker's fortress in Hydra.
I think it. I think it was because I saw it. That place rings a bell, but I don't know why. I'm not very a big comics guy, but I know that place is familiar to me, and I can't really explain why.
Yeah. Oh, I just got the impression that by the amount of time they spent on that it was a case of okay, there's a thing. And also, did you notice as well?
Yeah.
The fortress was still completely intact at the end of the film. That is not a coincidence.
No, it's not.
I think we will be seeing that fortress again at some point.
We might do, yes. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm not going to say it is going to happen, but I think you're right.
I'm also thinking that Strucker, and I'm also thinking Strucker's not dead.
No, I don't think he is.
Yeah.
One of the things I would be cautious about, though, is saying that Strucker...
Yeah?
Well, hang on. Let me think about this. Baron Strucker. There's something about Baron Strucker that rings a bell, but he's part
Baron Strucker is a key Hydra villain.
Yeah, I know he's a key Hydra villain, but there's a story in my mind, but no, forget it.
But yeah, Strucker's the one that you expect to be the villain.
Yeah.
But Ultron is actually more of the villain than Strucker.
Yes. Ultron was played beautifully. I cannot say that Ultron wasn't one. He is not.
Ultron is kind of a.
He's got a personality that is hilarious. He's got a sense of humour.
Yes, he is. Where he comes from is unknown.
It's the guard for the crystal. It's guard for the Infinity Gem.
Actually, it's thinking about it. I think they made it clear that it's not unknown where Ultron came from.
No, it's not unknown. It's the guard inside Loki's scepter.
Yes, but as to where somebody like Ultron actually appeared from, it's Thanos again.
Really?
Well, yes.
Of course, he gave it. He
got the staff from Thanos.
Yeah, Loki got the stuff from Thanos.
Yeah.
So
it's clear that Thanos was expecting the
But I have a funny feeling
to destroy.
No. I have a feeling it's not he was not a dumb. He was sort of a protector program for the staff.
No, I think he was more than that.
Well, he is more than that, but a non-benevolent... Oh my god, I'm going to get so many comments if anybody watches this. Benevolent.
He is not... He was not benevolent. That is absolutely...
He was a non-benevolent entity that was sort of to protect the staff from evildoers.
No. You got to the opposite way round.
Well, good people.
Thanos.
Hey?
Yeah, but It was from Thanos.
Yeah, I know, but from... Yeah, I know Thanos made the staff.
Yeah, it was designed. I think it was designed to be more than that.
Yeah, but...
It was designed to be a trap as well.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I'm going to talk to you about something. I remembered something. There was an animatic going around the internet about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it was basically saying stuff about Age of Ultron, the film. And I heard what the animatic was. And it was Jarvis turning evil.
Well,
and becoming Ultron. And that was an interesting way I thought they would have gone. And I know
I don't know about that. I remember you saying that at the time, and I wasn't, I wasn't entirely convinced at the time with that one. There are flaws with that.
Yeah, there are flaws, but it was an interesting way to go. I'm glad they didn't do it, because I don't know how you'd make Vision.
It's easy to make Vision. Tony doesn't make him.
Oh yeah, true. But I think Vision needed to be Jarvis, otherwise we wouldn't have that much of a connection. It's a new character. It's not... Vision is not... Even though he isn't... Sure. Well, let me finish. Even though he is a new character, he's got the voice of Jarvis. He isn't Jarvis, but he's got the personality. He's got the sense of humour of Jarvis.
I see. He's got a lot of the same sense of humour as Jarvis. Yes.
Yeah, and he is now he is self-deprecating to Tony. It's like, no, he really hates you. When he said when Tony said, "I'll go in to Ultron's lair," and it's like, he'll concentrate on me. Yeah, he will concentrate on you. He really hates you, and that was really a self-deprecating joke, and I think that was a little bit of Jarvis still living in Ultron. Vision. In
Vision, yes.
Yeah.
But that was their choice to do it that way. I mean,
did they actually call him Vision? No, I don't think they did.
Yeah. I think he called. There was some reference of him being Vision.
Oh yeah, there was. But I like the way they did it. You sort of thought, if you were not a comic book nerd, like. Well, I'm not a comic book nerd, but I know what comic books can do. I know a little bit about the comics. You could have played Vision off as an enemy. Well, they did for a while, for about 3 minutes.
No, they just weren't sure.
They weren't sure.
They weren't.
And it's like they sort of had Thor sort of wake him up, and I thought Thor was killing Vision. It was like, wait, what?
Yeah, well, that was the thing. He was looking for what to do, and his response was to try and actually go and see the future.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting way of doing it. But no, Vision could well have been the person who was supposed to. There was other ways of doing Vision which would work equally well.
Yeah, they would have, but.
And just having turned around and actually say no. And one of the things that they could have done, which would have made perfect sense in the film.
Go on.
Is the fact that Ultron keeps saying he's better than humanity.
Yeah.
But the problem is he's never that far away from humanity. Certainly not as far away as he thinks he is.
No.
Yes, but that's the thing, and Vision effectively points that out
Yeah.
in one version, and and that's the reason he says and he says, well, no, it's when that's pointed out, it starts Vision thinking, and Vision's like, no, actually, I can see your flawed logic here, because your flaw is the fact that you're saying you're better than humanity and everything, and you should ignore them, but you are every bit that way, and that's the thing, and that's what annoyed him about Tony.
Yeah.
In this film, is the fact that he's well aware of the fact that in many ways he is too much like Tony Stark.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that.
Which is good. I like the way they played it, and it sort of plays. He's sort of played like an evil Tony Stark. He's got an ego, a very big ego, that.
But he's also trying to say he's superior. But he's also well aware of the fact that what he's doing a lot of the time.
Yeah, he is.
Like quoting, saying something that Tony Stark actually said.
Yeah.
And then pretty angrily refuting the fact that he is like Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of aware of that.
Yeah.
If you look at it, you're like, okay, yeah, he's actually really quite aware of that.
Yeah.
It's interesting the way they did that, because before it was Pym he was annoyed at.
Yeah.
And also, there's no sign of Wasp in this, but he wouldn't have because it's not Pym.
By the way, it's not really a big spoiler for Ant-Man, but Hank Pym is in Ant-Man, which isn't really a big spoiler.
Not really a big spoiler, no. It's
But I'm not going to spoil it anymore because there's something interesting. I'm not going to say anything more. But if you're a comic book fan, you already know what they've done in the trailer for Ant-Man. What I've got to admit, I like what they've done with Age of Ultron. I really do. There's nothing wrong with that film.
No, it's very well polished. I mean, it's
classic. It's a classic Marvel film. It doesn't one up. It just tells the story it needs to tell, which I think is brilliant.
One thing I do have a question about.
Go on.
And this is something which I'm curious as to what the potential buyer would be for the vibranium. Vibranium is one of the rarest substances there is. And this guy was sitting there with a lot of it. It's very curious as to who was considering buying it, because what would have made sense to do
Go on.
is to have them know because Strucker had an interest.
I think he did.
No, they never said that.
But Strucker says that there's things that I don't want the Avengers to see, which was interesting.
Yes.
Which
yes,
you could...
but and there are things, but what they surmised was the fact that there was something in somebody Strucker knew, or some kind of link that maybe even Strucker himself wasn't aware of.
True.
They never said Strucker was aware of the fact that the guy had vibranium.
True. You've got a point there.
So it's interesting that they did it that way. But considering that the vibranium is the vibranium was that rare, that was quite a lot of it.
Yeah.
If you actually look at it, you're like, okay, Cap Shield has okay. I mean, his shield actually gets broken and the Wakandans have to reform it
When?
in other versions, not in the films,
Ah,
but in other versions of continuity, and it has to be reformed.
yeah.
And until it's reformed, he has effectively a force field version which can't be thrown around. So no, the fact they've introduced Wakanda is So the fact they introduced Wakanda, it does allow for it to be shattered.
It does, but I don't think they're gonna do it.
Oh no, they might do, because for one thing, it shows it's a symbol for Cap. It's really important to him. So if it's actually shattered,
but you got to be really. I know when. I know when. Yes, I know when they're gonna do it. I really know when.
Well,
yeah.
By introducing Wakanda, you have introduced the possibility of Cap attempting to take something on like that, and it shattering. Is like, this has never happened before.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they've done that. They are introducing other elements.
Yes.
So which we kind of expected them to do, but they introduced a fair amount.
Yeah. Yes.
And also, not to mention, they have brought back one very important thing, which is a support network.
Yeah.
You notice they did that?
Yes. Yeah.
Because before they had S.H.I.E.L.D. to assist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now they've pretty much said, we need our own support network. Here it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, for instance, one thing that yeah.
No. Go on.
Yeah. For instance, if you notice, they are the rest of the Avengers are elsewhere doing things, right?
Yeah.
But the place is a hive of activity with about 3 Avengers transports, one taking off, one flying somewhere else.
Yes.
So clearly they're going for Fury's there. You got other people there. So clearly they're going for the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
But it's what Captain America wanted S.H.I.E.L.D. to be.
Yeah. Okay, is that all I can think of? Anything else you want to add?
Well, we got the Chitauri still, which is nice. They're being listed as they are a threat that has not been defeated. They have been stopped once, which is nice because.
Sorry, I'm watching something else at the moment. People are chucking chairs into the ring in a WWF match.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's the Chitauri. So the Chitauri thing is nice.
Sorry.
The Chitauri thing is nice because it's a reminder that they are still a key.
Sorry.
They are still a key threat. But they are still a key threat.
Yeah.
So it's and the fact that technically maybe Hydra is not dead either.
Well, Hydra is definitely not dead.
No, Hydra is very much alive.
Yeah.
It's as a Hydra because and they're saying that he's for instance, they had loads of things like tanks and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When's the last time you saw those kind of tanks?
World War II.
Yes, exactly. Which implies that the Hydra is very far from dead, and that's very good because they could have just written Hydra off. But they've.
Can I give you a little tip? They are never going to write Hydra off while
Not exactly right.
While Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still going.
But in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. deals with them in a different way.
It does, but they're not going to write them off.
No, it's not so much writing them off as how they operate.
Yeah, okay. Have you...
And the answer is, no. So what I meant, so pretty much the fact that they show them wandering around with a army units, effectively, means that you can have Hydra appear as a threat later on as Hydra.
Hmm.
They're not hiding as S.H.I.E.L.D. They're not that, but they are there as Hydra. normal Hydra, because if you see them in the comics and stuff like that, Hydra is like a dedicated army.
Yes.
And what we saw there was more a dedicated army with high tech.
Yeah.
One thing we have not seen so far, which, as far as I'm aware, is AIM.
Yes, we have.
When did we see AIM?
Iron Man 3.
Okay, but we haven't seen AIM in its form in its form there.
What do you mean in its form where?
In its form in AIM, in its original form, was an evil science organization. The advanced ideas mechanics.
Yeah, we saw it in the Iron Man 3 film.
Except we kind of did, but didn't. Not in its full form. Now, I'm not sure. It'd be interesting if AIM makes a reappearance on that one, because it was quite interesting the fact that there was no mention of AIM there.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that was something that they could have mentioned in a minute thing.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So maybe they've decided they don't want AIM.
Yeah. Okay. Is that all
But
you want to
AIM's
talk
big.
about?
No, not quite. But AIM is a big thing. AIM is actually quite a big thing in Marvel, in the normal Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
So, and for instance, one of the things is AIM is effectively it's as Hydra hires AIM to make a cosmic cube, which they can use to alter time.
Yes.
But an interesting thing is, if you don't have AIM, how do you have MODOK?
I don't think they're going to do MODOK.
That would be a mistake, I think, because MODOK is a very good villain.
He is, but he doesn't work with the films.
How you do him is interesting, yes.
Do you know his origins?
I do, and that's why it's interesting the way they did that thing with AIM. Maybe I'm thinking maybe AIM is they only got part of AIM, but I don't know about that.
Doubt it.
They seem to really, MODOK is the one that is going to be really difficult to bring in.
Yeah. I don't think MODOK is... Well, let's put it this way. I never thought Guardians of the Galaxy was going to get onto the cinema screen. So, let's say never, not say never. But I don't think MODOK is going to get into... is going to get into the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet. He could do later on... But I think...
Yeah, but you'd have to have AIM reforming if that.
Well, no.
Case,
What you have to do, you've got to have Hulk fighting MODOK. That is
why?
Because MODOK is Hulk's main enemy, I think.
He is?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
Yeah, it's the old adage: brain versus brawn.
I thought there was also
there are others, but it is brain versus brawn. So
one of the more interesting matches actually for MODOK is Iron Man.
He is, but
Tech vs Tech is very interesting because you've got MODOK trying stuff
Tech
and then
vs Tech, but it's been done.
Not only that though, that MODOK actively really dislikes Tony Stark.
True.
Tony Stark actively really dislikes MODOK, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they both mess with each other's tech, but it's quite. But no, I wasn't expecting any signs of MODOK, but
No.
it's if they showed any signs, but then there's a lot they're not showing because they haven't by only mentioning Wakanda in this film.
Yeah.
they're actually the Wakanda is really quite important
Yes. In
in
the
the
Marvel
Marvel
universe, it is very important. So
Yeah, and if they actually do it properly, then it's also really interesting to do.
yeah,
However, the way they talk would seem to preclude what unfortunately they could have done otherwise.
go on. What's
Remember they said Wakanda as if Wakanda meant a lot.
what do you mean?
Well, in the film, they say he's got tattoos and he's got a mark.
Yeah, I know,
remember?
I know where you're going. What do you mean about
Yeah.
Wakanda? It means a lot in.
Well,
I don't get what
but
you mean.
they knew what it meant.
Yeah.
As in, they knew that it